How's it going, guys? Today, I want to give you guys my 5 reasons that I think you guys should try and become a software engineer in 2021. And if you guys are not familiar with my channel, I've been a software engineer in the industry for about 3 years now. So today, I want to take a minute and talk to you guys about the 5 different reasons that I think you guys should become an engineer this year and the benefits that you guys can reap if you're able to do so. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of demand for software engineers. A lot of people want to become software engineers in the industry. And the first reason I think anyone would want to become a software engineer is strictly just for the salary, right? If you guys haven't seen my last video, I talked with Zahir from levels.fyi. He's a co-founder of that website. And we talked a lot about the different compensation packages that you can receive as a software engineer. And one of the things that we immediately talked about was, as an engineer in the USA at least, you could probably make between $100,000 and $200,000 off the bat just in terms of your base salary. So again, that's just the money that you're going to be taking in every 2 weeks or every month, depending on how you get paid at the company that you're at. That's not including any bonuses that you might get at the end of the year, any sign-on bonuses or any RSUs or restricted stock units that you're given from the company that you might work at. So there is a lot of money to be made in software engineering. And generally speaking, I think that's really the one thing that definitely piques people's interests when they try and get into the industry initially. So one of the benefits I really think goes hand in hand with the money that you get paid in tech is really just the hours that you work. It's pretty typical as a software engineer that you're going to work about 40 hours a week. And maybe if you have a deadline coming up or you have a big release of a product, you might work a little bit more. And obviously it's company independent as well. But generally speaking, I think that the software engineering industry has a very good work-life balance, and it's pretty much guaranteed that you're going to work about 40 hours a week, maybe even less if you're very good at doing your job and you can work very efficiently. So talking about the hours that you work at these different companies, again, about 40 hours a week, another one of the huge benefits and big draws about being a software engineer, especially at these larger tech companies, is the perks that you're going to get from being in the office. And obviously right now, the majority of the world, or at least I hope everyone, is pretty much working from home and doing so safely. But when you're back in the office, especially at larger tech companies, you're going to get a lot of crazy, really random perks that you might not even have asked for. So if you're able to work at a company like Facebook or Google, I think that those are probably the 2 companies that have probably the most outlandish, crazy perks that you'll see in the office. I remember when I was in both of their offices in New York, you would see things like free breakfast, free lunch, and free dinner. There's smoothie bars, there's cafes in the offices. Google has like the old Port Authority building in New York, which is like this absolutely massive building, and you could ride scooters and skateboards and all kinds of things throughout the halls to literally get from meeting to meeting, or to go pick up a coffee on the way to your office, or literally do anything, right? There's just so many different random perks that you'll get at Facebook and Google as well. You'll have things like game rooms, you'll have things like video games, you'll have ping pong tables and billiards rooms. And I think the Google office in New York actually even has a gym as well. So really anything that you can think of, I feel like you're going to have in the office. And while that seems pretty crazy, right, there's actually obviously a business reason behind it. I think largely a lot of the decisions being made to put these crazy perks inside of offices like Facebook and Google is actually because it's beneficial for the company, right? If I'm an engineer at Facebook and I no longer have to leave the office to go to the gym, that can make them more money, right? The longer that I'm at the office, the longer that I'm doing work, the more money that they're probably making. So again, while these benefits are great to think about and to have, it's good to remember as well that there is a business impact. And I think a lot of these perks that you're going to have at these companies, like the free meals, ping pong tables, nap pods, and whatever else you might get, will probably wear off pretty quickly and you'll just become accustomed to having it. Another great thing about tech, I think in general, is a lot of the companies have a paid time off policy of unlimited. So you can actually take an unlimited amount of vacation, but obviously you still have to get your work done. I think at some companies this can sort of be a trap, so it's something to actually think about as well. But at other companies, it really is take 6 weeks off and no one's going to cry about it. So one of the reasons why you do probably have to be careful about some of the time off policies is if you do have an unlimited vacation at your company, sometimes that's actually a trick. And so that will turn into a competition as to who takes less time off. And you might actually feel pressured to take less time off than if you were just given a standard, let's say, 3 weeks a year to take off and have vacation. So instead of actually just randomly taking those 3 weeks that you've been allotted to take off, you might now feel pressure to only take 10 days off if you have an unlimited plan, strictly because everyone else on your team has only taken 7 days. So now moving on and talking about one of the less obvious benefits about being a software engineer, I think that that's learning a general skill. And what I mean by that is if you're actually self-taught, or you go to a boot camp, or maybe you even go to a college and get a 4-year degree, in computer science, let's say, you're really learning general skills, right? You're learning how to build systems, you're learning how to build APIs, you're learning how to program, how to code, how to apply frameworks to a different language that you're using. And that's very general, right? You can take those skills and take those building blocks and actually apply it to any domain that you might want to go into, any problem space, or build really any solution that you can think about for any problem that you're having or are interested in. Whereas if you go to school for, let's say, English, or maybe you go to school for chemistry, you probably inevitably have less options for the fields or the jobs that you can fill, because I feel that your skills are more specific. You're more tied to the thing that you studied in college. Whereas again, I think if you are an engineer or you learn software engineering, you just learn general skills that you can apply to finance, that you can apply to healthcare, that you can apply to entertainment, or really any industry that you can think of. So one of the other benefits I think about being a software engineer is the fact that you're not required to have any sort of education, right? And if we compare that to something like being a doctor takes years and years and years to even break into the industry and become a doctor, right? I have to have gone to a 4-year university and gotten a degree. I have to have applied to medical school, gotten in, finished, I think 4 or 5 years of medical school, done a 2 or 3 year residency maybe, and then a couple years of a specialty training on top of that. So just becoming a doctor, the barrier to entry is so much higher than becoming a software engineer. If I want to become a software engineer and maybe I was an accountant in school or I studied finance in school and all of a sudden I want to change my career path, I could do so very quickly, right? There's free courses online that you can watch classes on. There's classes available from MIT, Stanford, Harvard, and a bunch of other universities that are very prestigious and teach very good content. There are boot camps, right? Very well-established paths of people who have been in a different industry and are now pursuing tech by going into boot camps. And I think they're like 3 months long. And just like that, you can turn your career around, right? But if you wanted to become a doctor and all of a sudden at first you were an accountant, that doesn't really work out so well, right? That's years and years that you have to sink into becoming a doctor. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're going to be in debt or pull out of your own pocket to actually go to those schools, unless you're getting scholarships. So the barrier to entry is a lot higher, and becoming a software engineer is a lot easier than, I think, going through years and years of medical school. So the next benefit that I think you have is being a software engineer, and I don't think everyone's going to agree with this, but this is at least how I feel, and that's the fact that you have to keep learning. So one of the reasons why I actually really enjoy being a software engineer is just the fact that I have to learn new skills. I have to learn new languages, new frameworks, new technologies, new systems, new code bases. And I think that that's exciting. I think that that's one of the things that makes every day fun. And that's one of the reasons why I like being an engineer, because I constantly have to keep learning. And on maybe the other side of the spectrum, one of the reasons why people might not like that is because if you do know a language or a framework, and then maybe it becomes less popular or you don't feel as comfortable with the new framework coming out, maybe that's a problem, right? And eventually, if you don't keep up with the times, you don't keep up with the things that are changing, you might actually get phased out of the market because the skills that you have are no longer desired, right? No one actually wants you to use C anymore, maybe, and everyone's trying to use Java. I don't know. I think the next thing that really is a benefit about being a software engineer is just sort of the fact that you are solving puzzles. You're really just doing a lot of problem solving in a variety of different ways. And I think that, again, going hand in hand with learning, I personally think that that's fun. I think it's fun trying to figure out how to solve complicated problems, how to work with a team to actually do that, figuring out different efficient ways to do so, right? There's no one right way. There's no silver bullet in engineering. Otherwise, everyone would do things the same way. And so I think you constantly have to come up with different solutions for the different problems that arise in your organization in order to actually deliver the thing that you're trying to work on. I personally like the fact that you have to solve different problems every day. And maybe, there are definitely some problems that come in or tickets you have to work on that are very similar or could be monotonous. But generally speaking, I think you see a bunch of different problems that you have to solve. And a lot of times you don't know how to do it and you have to figure it out. And I think that's part of the fun of being an engineer. Last but not least, I think that maybe the best benefit about being a software engineer is just the fact that there's such high demand for engineers right now. So I don't think there is nearly enough engineers in the industry right now as the industry wants or requires. And I think that that leaves a really big opportunity for people who are trying to break into the industry to actually land a job. And in addition to that, I think that the fact that there's such great demand for engineering is really good for us as engineers, because that actually allows you to decide what you want to deal with or what you don't, right? And so I think it's very important to understand what makes you happy and what you like about your job and what you don't. And if you're not happy at your job, I think it's really important to actually pick your head up and figure out where maybe you can go next. And so with that being said, if you guys are not happy at your current job, or you wish you were paid more, or you wanted free lunches, or you want a slide or a nap pod in your office, I think that there are a lot of places that you can pick your head up and look for, and I think that they would be happy and very excited to talk to you because of the skills that you possess as an engineer. So if you guys are not happy at your jobs, or you guys are looking for something that's missing in your current job, I strongly recommend you pick up your head and you apply to different companies you would want to work for. So guys, those are my 5 reasons why I think you should become a software engineer in 2021. If you guys think I missed any of the benefits of being an engineer and reasons why you should become one, be sure to leave them in the comments below and we can talk about them. If you guys need any help preparing for your interviews, be sure to check out thedailybite.dev. And last but not least, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more. And I'll see you guys in the next one.